Welcome to our Ayurveda talk. We are talking tonight about how Ayurveda deals with MS, multiple sclerosis. I'm talking about this because I have a really good friend who has MS. She's had it for over 20 years, and she was so sweet and gracious, and she invited me to a talk with her doctor. And this doctor is a psychiatrist and neurologist. And I went to the talk and I did a bunch of research before I went as far as like, how does Ayurveda deal with MS? What is it? What imbalance is it? How do we deal with it? What can we do to support people who have MS? So I did all of that thinking maybe I can have a conversation with the doctor. But when we got there, the talk was a little bit historical in the beginning, and then it was basically promoting a pharmaceutical drug. So it was a pharmaceutical drug sponsored dinner. And it was a lovely dinner, but the only option that was given to these MS patients is medications. And, you know, I was married to somebody who sold medical devices. And the way that these companies work is there's always a kickback. And so there's an interest for the doctor to want to promote these drugs because they get money. They get money. I'm sorry to say that that's how it goes, but that is how it goes. And you got to think about that. You got to think about that. If your doctor is getting money from a company to promote this product, that's not really in the best interest of the client. So I wanted to do a talk that basically gave some alternatives to these MS clients and MS patients. There are things that you can do, alternatives that you can do. It is an imbalance of the nervous system. It is a depletion of the nervous system. And whenever you're dealing with a depletion of the nervous system, you're dealing with Vata and Pitta. What is Vata? Vata is the elements of ether and air, and Pitta is fire, tiny little bit of water. So fire. What happens is a person is basically dealing with lifestyle and diet options. They are living in a way that is causing an imbalance of Vata, which then causes hypertension, which is like pushing on what we call Pitta. And like I said, these things seem abstract when I say, oh, Vata and Pitta are out of balance. But just think of it this way. If you have too much heat in your body, what does that do? Where does it go? Like if you can't remove the heat that's in your body, it's going to build. And it will cause a condition like high blood pressure, hypertension, or it will cause a fever, or it will cause some sort of heat symptom. So it's not abstract. These forces and these elements move throughout our body, and it causes pressures. I actually was listening to a podcast with a doctor the other day that was talking about natural urges. And in Ayurveda, we always say you never stop natural urges. What are natural urges? Yawning, sneezing, going to the bathroom, all of that. Those are natural urges. And if you stop and you prevent yourself from sneezing, shoot, I've met people that have like broken a rib from that. It's a lot of pressure. It's pressure that goes out into the body. So if you're preventing the body, say there's something that needs to move down and out, and you're not allowing it to move down and out, which is what's natural, then it gets pushed back up, and that force then presses on all of our other physiology and causes a condition. Okay, so MS is doing that. When you have multiple sclerosis, it means that there's stuff that you're doing or that you're being impacted by that is causing an imbalance in your body. Okay, so I did take notes. Multiple sclerosis basically is when the nerve cell axons and dendrites that are covered by a sheet called a myelin sheet. It's like a fatty substance. So what's the biggest problem with Vata is they get depleted, and throughout the whole body, they're going to have issues with not having enough substance to their tissues. So it happens in the nervous system. And that fatty substance is needed because you literally can't have electrical impulse. So synapses cannot take place in the body without that sheet, that fatty tissue substance sheet. So MS is one of the diseases like Parkinson's and like Alzheimer's that attack the myelin and the cells that produce it. Okay. The nerves either are partly or completely stop being able to function normally. And then the impulse conduct is going to be impacted in a way to where it causes an imbalance and eventually a disease, because it's literally stripping that fatty tissue, the myelin sheath. And if it doesn't strip it away, what it'll do is cause scarring. And nothing can move through that. It's like plaque. Scar tissue is way thicker than regular tissue. Okay. So MS is the most common. And by the way, I find it really interesting, and the doctor that did the talk did talk about this, that MS is not as common in tropical zones or the Arctic zones. That's interesting. So it's mostly in the temperate areas of the world where MS is common, but tropical, not so much. And the Arctic areas, well, I don't know, that's a little too cold for me. So I don't think I can handle it there, but okay. So Ayurveda considers MS as a Vata and Pitta excess. Too much Vata. What does that mean? It means that they're pushing on the qualities of Vata. They have an excess of dryness, excess of movement, excess of harshness, excess of, subtle, too much subtleties going on. And movement is the biggest thing, because a lot of people that are Vata, they like to move. Travel is going to cause a Vata imbalance. Not sleeping, not having a routine, eating foods that dry you out, that is going to cause problems with Vata. So it's a huge combination of stuff. Vata people tend to like salads and granola and cereal and all these things that are drying foods. Sorry, salads are not good for Vata. It's raw, harder to digest, and drying. Okay, so that's the way to push kind of Vata out of balance. How do you cause a Pitta excess? Pitta goes into excess with too much intensity, too much exercise, too much heat in your food and what you're taking in. So hot, spicy foods, and also drying foods. Because remember, when you're too close to a fire, it can dry you out. So you've got that Vata and the Pitta that can dry out your tissues. So you become systemically dry. And by the way, if you're taking medications, that is contributing to dryness of your tissues as well. Okay, so Pitta goes out of balance because of food, but in MS, Vata is getting pushed out of balance. And what does air do to fire? Makes it bigger. So now you have Vata imbalance that pushes on heat inside the body and causes hypertension. Okay. So Ayurveda The Vata excess is coming from, for MS, anxiety. So typically the Vata individuals who get MS, there's like a nervous system thing going on with them where they have this underlying anxiousness and anxiety. And it could be because of stress. It could be because of their environment. Like, can you imagine if you were living somewhere where you had a lot of noise going on? Like constant stimulation. Vata can't handle that. They can't. They need stillness, quiet. They need that. They don't like it, but they need it. Okay, so Vata excess comes from anxiety, also your food, and other lifestyle issues, okay? And that leads to hypertension, which is the Pitta excess. So that's how it comes together. And then in Ayurveda, the biggest things we have lots of herbs. It's a little different. If you're a Vata individual, the herbs are going to be a little bit different for Vata compared to a Pitta person, but they have lots of available herbs, and they're going to be the stabilizing herbs, the calming herbs that help calm down the nervous system and stabilize the body. So ashwagandha is one of those herbs that is fantastic because it stabilizes. It helps build tissue, and you need that. And by the way, I haven't talked to you guys too about it, but anytime somebody comes in and does a consultation with me, I show them the prioritization of food that you eat and what tissues receive nutrients first. Okay. And there's a prioritization in the body of you eat the food, the brain, your plasma, they're going to take the nutrients first, and then it moves down. All these different tissues get fed. The nervous system is not very high up. It's not. Other tissues get fed first. So in order for you to do what you need to do to like start bringing your body back into balance, the way that you eat has got to be in a way that stabilizes your body and helps also build the tissue in a way that's healthy. So that's one thing. Lots of herbs available. Once you get over 50, now, unfortunately for women, it's a little bit younger. Once you get over 40, if you've got MS, it's harder to heal. Okay. But typically for men and women, once you're over 50 and you have MS, it's harder to heal. It's slower. It's a slower process to heal. Okay. Then treatments. The best treatment, Shirodara. That's the oil on the forehead for 30 to 45 minutes because it calms the nervous system. Any of the oil treatments where we put oil on the entire body, remember your skin is an organ, so it's going to absorb that oil. Oil is a way of bringing in earth. What does the nervous system need when it's out of balance with Vata and Pitta? It needs to be grounded, cooled down, settled. So you do that with these oil treatments. So Shirodara is going to help it. And the Abhyanga, which is that oil throughout the whole body. And then there's a few other oil treatments as well. But I just wanted to like tell you what their recommendation is. I would really like to do this for myself, even though I do not have MS. But it says that you want to do 7 to 14 sessions daily or every other day. And it's a minimum of 30 to 45 minutes of the Shirodara, but it's like an hour and a half for the other treatments. So that sounds really nice. I would like to do that. The other thing that's going to help MS is yoga. Yoga helps MS and helps Parkinson's and all these other nervous system issues too. So Alzheimer, anybody you know that has dementia and Alzheimer's, yoga is going to help them. So there's yoga postures that are out there. What they do is they slow down the progress of that disease. So years ago, the very first woman that I ever met that taught yoga, that did yoga like religiously, She was a Jewish woman that was a member at a gym that I worked at. I was like 20 years old when I was there, 20, 21. And she was amazing. She had scoliosis, severe scoliosis, and MS. She had been diagnosed when she was young, and she stopped the progression of those two diseases that she had with yoga. This is what she told me. And she was beautiful, by the way. And she was an older woman. She was beautiful. Like her skin was amazing. Her eyes were clear. I was like, wow, what is this yoga stuff? Because I grew up Catholic. I was not exposed to yoga or anything like that. I was not at all. I was a runner. So I met her and she got into it because she wanted an alternative to dealing with what she was going through with her body. Medications were not an option for her. Okay, so mind-body coordination is good. It helps with the muscles. It helps with the nerves, toning of both. It also, doing yoga is immune boosting, right? It's going to also increase flexibility and give you huge benefits in general, but especially when it comes to helping your moving the blood, moving the energy through the channels. So the shrotas is what they're called. And by doing that, you create balance overall. It calms the nervous system. Okay. There's also different oils that you can rub on your body that can take pain away for many hours at a time. And of course, you want to follow a dosha appropriate list, food list. So if you're Vata, you're following the Vata food list. If you're Pitta, you're following the Pitta food list. Okay. Also, Nasya, which is the drops, special nose drops, can also help to heal MS or be a treatment for it. It's done daily. And then you also want to align yourself with the circadian rhythms. So you are up when the sun is up and you're in bed when the sun's down. Routine, routine, routine. You want to calm down Vata, you need routine. Okay. And then all nervous system disorders, you want to ground by doing all the oil treatments. You do the daily practice. So every daily routine, you do your self-abhyanga, the self-oiling, and then you can do all the treatments as a way to support you. But if you've got MS, you know somebody that has MS or any of these other nervous system issues, try it. Try Ayurveda. Why not? Like if there's things that you can do that are not going to put you on tons and tons of medications that lead to other issues, we should try it, right? You guys, it's the wave of the future. It really is. And these medicines, Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, they've been around thousands of years. If they were malarkey, they would have disappeared a long time ago. They are not malarkey. So try it out, see what you think, and come and try all these oil treatments. I'm here for you. All right, let's get started with our practice. We are doing a full moon lunar eclipse practice tonight. Let's get it started.